Hey everybody, Desiree Fletcher Carruthers, Mrs. Iowa America, here with your next edition of Temple Building Plus, where we have real conversations about real health. And I am super excited here today and in my office to be with just a phenomenal lady, Melissa Grandon. She is a functional health specialist with actually functional nutrition specialist, but she's just does so many things outside of nutrition. So, I'll change her title and it'll still be correct. And she's with EP True Chiropractic. And we are going to have a really good conversation today about detoxing the body. But before we get that far, Melissa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Desiree. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate you thinking of me. I always love just a hair to hair. I love my hair today too. No, and I love your hair. I love to share health with people. And that's one of my big passions and why I do what I do in our office. I am a busy mom of three, much like probably many of people that are watching. So I know that this healthy living thing can be a little challenging at times, but I just want you to know that it can be done. It takes a little bit of work. And today we're going to go through some of those specifics. Being in our office too, Des, I don't know if your viewers know anything about the 5 essentials, but that's some of the main principles that we teach here, and some of those just different fun action steps that I get to teach people, where we work around mindset, really what's going on between our ears, and do we even think that we can get well and healthy and do these hard things. The second one is just our nervous system function. How well is our brain communicating through our spine and the rest of our body to help promote healing? We obviously talk about nutrition, and that's a big part of what we do for our health, and we know that many of the foods that we can put in our bodies can be very healing, or they can be promoting disease. So we like to make sure that we're teaching the difference between those as well. Today we're going to talk about detox, which is going to be our 5th essential, and the one before that is exercise, which I'm sure you've talked about before, but that's going to be an integral part in this detoxification process and just overall healthy living.
All right, awesome. So let's get into it. So recently I was asked a question from a friend of mine that I've been working with and trying to help her on her health and wellness journey. And she's a smoker. She knows that she wants to quit, but she's not there yet. But she was like, she knows enough that she knows she's not treating her body very well. And she asked me, well, what's a good detox for my lungs? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, so that's a conversation in and of itself. And you can work to detox specific parts of the body, but when you know that you're not eating well and that you may be taking in toxins in, it really needs to be like a whole body experience. And so that's what made me think of you and all of the work that you do and bringing you on the show, because I feel like detoxification is kind of a woo-wooey concept for some people. They hear it bounced around and they hear the words detoxes and cleanse, but they really don't know what goes into it. What's it about? Why do I even need to do this? So can we just start at the beginning? Why on earth do I want to detox? I mean, what is all of that about?
Yes, no, super good. And it's a question that we get all of the time. And I know a lot of us see things on TV or read something in a magazine and we're like, oh, I need that. But what I've learned over the years, making some of these mistakes myself too, is we can't just detoxify one part of it. There's many parts and pieces that go into our detoxification system. So we really have to be looking at all of those. But a lot of times we ask the question, how do I know if I need a detox? And some of the question. Symptoms are going to be, well, how's your energy level? Are you sleeping well? Do you have skin problems? Do you have lots of acne? Do you have chronic autoimmune conditions? And those are all different signs and symptoms of having a toxic environment in our bodies. So what I wanted to do today, Des, if it's okay, we just dive into this. I want to talk about kind of the 5 major detoxification pathways. Okay. And taking a look at each one of those, because I feel like it's important for us to understand those. We're really big on education. I want you to know what's going on inside your body, how it's working for you. And once we understand that, then we can better support those areas too, right?
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right, perfect. So I've made some notes today, just so you guys know. I like to talk a lot. This gets me really excited. I'm very passionate about these things. We could spend probably 3 hours, not joking, talking about just detoxification alone. So I'm going to read through some of the things just so I can make sure that we stay on task with stuff too, okay? All right. But if we think about it, most of us spend a whole bunch of time just really keeping our stuff clean. We take baths, we wash our hair, we vacuum, we shampoo our carpets, we wash our cars inside and out. We wash our clothes. We spend a lot of time washing and scrubbing things, but many times we're not thinking about doing that same thing for the inside of our bodies, right? So when our eyes are open to the environment and what's going on outside, which we can talk about a little bit later, but I'm sure you guys have heard studies before that really the inside environment, even in our house, is a lot more toxic than what's outside because of different chemicals, candles, lotions, laundry detergents, all those different things that we continue to keep kind of contained in our house that's causing a lot of issues, right? So it's really critical for us to take a look at what's causing those things and then to take a look internally on what's going on inside, right? So we generally have 5 major detoxification pathways, and I want to navigate through each one of those today. There's some small ones that we don't have time to talk about. Some of those smaller ones are going to include like the little hairs inside your nose. We have our tonsils that a lot of people think we don't need, and even our earwax. Like that's all part of our detoxification pathways. But those are a little bit minor ones, but we'll kind of take a step back from those. But here's what I want you to think about. When we eat and when we drink, we create necessary energy, which is your metabolism to function. Like we need energy in so that we can have energy to export out, right? Mm-hmm. When your body can't use everything that it consumes, right? So we end up having some waste. And so what your body will do is it's going to take what it needs and discard what it doesn't, okay? So all of us probably have a cell phone. I want us to think about this analogy. When the energy runs out of our cell phone, what do, Des?
We charge it.
We charge it. We plug it in, right? And when it reaches 100%, it's full, right?
Yep.
Can't really bank any extra energy. Now we can have those extra chargers on the side to have extra juice for later. But once it's full, right?
Yep, 100%.
So, same thing with our bodies, okay? When your body recognizes that nutrients are at full charge, it's going to discard anything else that it doesn't need. That's how it works, okay? Yep. Some nutrients have a bigger battery life than others, just like some cell phones have different battery lives. Mine's not super great, right? But I want you to remember that for later because there are some nutrients that can actually bank energy for later, right? So remember that for later. We'll talk about that. But typically what happens is a lot of those nutrients just get burned through several times of the day. So they continually need to be recharged. And that's why we consume our foods. We have to eat our foods for that element or for that energy process. With the extra waste that your body can't use, it needs to take out the trash so that we don't end up with a landfill in our bodies, okay? The process is so important that God's built in these 5 different detoxification pathways to remove this, okay? So when we don't have when we have too much of what we need, the body's gonna kick it out and we're just gonna toss everything to the curb so that we don't end up becoming too toxic. Okay, so some detoxification pathways include, we have our lymph system, we have our liver, kidneys, our colon, our sweat glands, or our skin, right? This is where it causes, where we have acne sometimes. And most don't think quite twice about how these work. So this is also kind of a gross and not a very comforting thought. But if we didn't have these pathways, Des, our bodies would literally suffocate itself within a couple days if we're not getting rid of this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right. That's not pleasant. That's not pleasant.
Not a good thought, but it's the truth, okay? And I'm going to say, don't hate me for sharing some truth today, okay? Many of you guys are probably walking around with one or several of these elimination systems that are being plugged up, okay? And it's unfortunate, but even if 10 to 20% decrease in this system begins the domino effect of other symptoms that we have in our bodies. And any guesses on what the first symptom is that most people feel if we're getting plugged up?
Constipation?
Oh, that's probably a close
okay,
second.
That wasn't it. Okay.
Very close second. I know, and you know me, I usually I'm the poop girl. We talk about our poop and our bowel movements all the time, right? That's a really good way for us to tell internally how we're functioning.
Yeah.
But energy.
Okay, lack of energy, yes, fatigue, feeling just empty and not good at all. Brain fog. Okay,
all of that. Yeah. So energy is usually the first thing to go. So those of you guys out there that have experienced low energy, let's just keep that in mind as we start navigating through this. Now, what I want you to imagine, I'm a visual learner, so I want us to imagine that our body is a house, okay? We already know that this is the temple that God gave us, right? So our temple here has 5 chimneys. Any guesses what those 5 chimneys represent? Those 5 detoxification pathways that we talked about, all right? And I actually looked up the definition of a chimney. Anybody, do you have an idea of what a chimney what the purpose of a chimney is?
To let smoke escape from contained fire.
Yes. So let me read the definition here. I've had to pull it up. The main purpose of a chimney is to vent the products of combustion from your home. The function is critical. It's very crucial because the products of combustion contain hazardous and toxic materials. Same thing inside our body. These toxins are hazardous, they're contaminants, and we have to make sure that they're getting them out. Okay, so we've got our 5 chimneys here. Now, damage occurs in the body when these uneliminated toxins continue to rise and rise and rise. And most of them are caused or started by some nutrient deficiencies that slow down different pathways in our immune system function. Okay, when the body is not able to remove all these bad guys, it tries to find another way or to neutralize them and to protect tissues from inflammation and damage. Okay, so here's where those fat cells come in. I know all these fat cell haters out there, everybody hates on the fat cells, right? But really the purpose of these fat cells are to pull toxins out of the bloodstream to protect the body. So things get stored in our fat cells, right? But this can lead to different cystic growths. This can lead to weakened organs, tissues, those type of things as a body keeps pulling out of the system and it just gets overloaded. Okay. With that, it is so amazing when we think about how our bodies were created and how amazingly God really designed us when we stop hindering our body and putting all these toxins in. And when we start removing those interferences, it just starts functioning the way that it's supposed to function. Okay, God doesn't create junk and he doesn't need any help healing. He just needs no interference, right?
Okay. Good.
You on board with me? All right, so here we go.
I'm on board. I'm just waiting for the more. So
Here we go. Lymphatic system. Ever heard of the lymphatic system before?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So your lymph system, I want you to think of it as like the tissue cleansing river. It's like a river that runs through your body and all of our cells are bathed in this lymphatic fluid, all right? Fresh, clean, nutrient-laden lymphatic fluid actually enters into our capillaries from the bloodstream. And then what happens is your cells absorb oxygen and nutrients from this fluid, and it secretes the waste back into the lymphatic system where it's carried out the carbon dioxide, it carries out acid and other waste products. It gets sent to the lungs and the kidneys to finish up the filtration process. Okay. The rest of this lymphatic, the rest is drawn into lymphatic capillaries where it's taken into the lymph nodes, okay, which act like little tiny sewer treatment plants. All right. So they really start treating, cleaning everything up. These add white blood cells to it. The white blood cells gobble up all the extra debris that's in there. And then these lymph ducts empty back into the circulatory system and are taken to this little organ right here called thyroid, right? So if we have some thyroid problems, we probably have a little slow lymphatic system too.
And we have lymphs in different parts of our body. I know we're most familiar with. So.
Yep. There's in like the crease of your leg, up by your hip, behind your knee, and your ankles and your armpits. They're everywhere. But when it gets sent to the thyroid, that's where iodine is released. And that helps really clean up the rest of the garbage that's in there. Okay. Quick question for you. This is a challenge. Do you know, I know, you're ready? Here we go. Do you know what the pump is for our lymphatic system?
You know, I don't know what the pump is for our lymphatic system.
Something that I know you love doing a lot, and it's exercise.
Very good. Very good. So exercise is key, like you said, to detoxifying the body. I was thinking of some internal function.
I know.
But I love that it's exercise. I love that. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the thing, is your lymphatic system does not have a pump to it like our circulatory system does. So your muscles literally are the pump to make this thing work. And I always tell people, you stop moving and you stop living, and really we stop detoxifying when we stop moving too. So even a little bit of exercise, some good rebounding, some, even if you can't do a whole lot of exercise right now, maybe because of some injuries, doing some dry brushing, little light massage, that's all beneficial to help the lymphatic system.
All
Okay.
right, very good. No,
The next channel.
no excuses.
Yeah.
Some things going in there.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So the first channel after the lymphatic system that usually tends to slow down, you said this in the beginning, our colon, causing constipation. Things slow down. And when things aren't getting eliminated in those pipes down there, what happens is it just gets recycled back into the body again. Okay. The toxins in your colon eventually produce symptoms of disease in other parts of the body, with the lining of the digestive tract acting as the first line of immune defense. Okay. The mucous membranes that line your intestines are not only designed to absorb nutrients, but they also reject toxic stuff with waste attached to it. These membranes are overloaded with toxic material, and they can become really irritated. Many people have kind of heard the term leaky gut. So that's how leaky gut gets started. Like actual little pinholes in your digestive lining occur when we have an overload of toxins. And then what happens is food particles, different bacteria and viruses sneak their way out through those little pinholes into our bloodstream. And then that will in turn lead to a lot of autoimmune disorders and diseases that we have. Okay?
So short, one word term for that, which Melissa will have some extra say, but inflammation. So leaky gut, when your gut lining can no longer protect you from those toxins and it's letting particles of food through, they got to go somewhere. And so they're going to land somewhere else in your body. And if that causes inflammation, and I talk about this a lot, inflammation being the root of pretty much every disease that is out there, it's not a good thing. So consider toxic overload. You want to avoid that as much as possible, because it could lead to a whole slew of other issues and diseases in your body. So very good point, Melissa.
Yeah, 100%. And, some people are sitting out there that might be struggling with colitis, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel. I feel like IBS is just something that they tell you when they don't really know what's going on.
They don't know what it is, diverticulitis, you name it.
Yes. All of it. So, and we know that if we have these issues too, we're not going to be absorbing nutrients properly. So in turn, it's going to lead to other stuff down the road later. Right. What I want to cover real quick, going back to, is some different foods that we can use to focus on to help support the lymphatic system. Right. So we talk about making sure that that stays healthy, but foods like cranberries, green leafy vegetables, you're going to hear that a lot. Super powerful, packed with nutrients. Ginger is really good. Nuts and seeds, obviously making sure that we're drinking plenty of water to keep all these systems flushed out. Seaweed, anybody like sushi out there?
I am not. My youngest daughter loves vegetarian sushi rolls. I am not one of those people.
Yeah, but there's a lot of powders that you can get, seaweed powders. I like spirulina. I mean, that's a really good one that we can start adding in there. Garlic, citrus fruits, those are all really good ones to continue to support the lymphatic system, right? As we move on, the liver is kind of the next system that comes into play. And when the liver starts getting backed up with all the overload from the intestines, all of the blood coming out of your intestinal tract has to go through the liver before it's being carried to other parts of the body. So that liver really has, it's like back to the chimneys and the filters that we put in our furnaces. Like it's several layers of those filters and chimneys that's really trying to get stuff out before it sends the nutrients back through the body. Okay. So primary job is to really neutralize all the bad guys that are in our system. Right. So when these systems have been compromised, the liver really ends up as like the backup quarterback, and tries to make things start working a little bit better. Hundreds of enzymes are located in the liver that help break down these little bad guys. So we need lots of critters in our bodies. A lot of people get weirded out by different bacteria and viruses and those type of things.
I think it's all bad. And
I know we need them though. We need those to be able to break down the needed nutrients that our body needs. The lifestyle that many of us lead, unfortunately, leads us to really struggle in the liver area and creates a lot of toxic overload. Some of the symptoms that you may be experiencing, if you know that your liver is slowing down, would be frequent headaches. And I know that's a really common thing that we see a lot. Sluggishness, a lot of lethargy, tiredness, also waking up in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
And people are able to get to sleep okay, but they're always waking up at like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Different areas of our body actually activate healing at different times. So if we're seeing that light bulb come on at 2, 3 in the morning and not able to get back to sleep, it's usually a good sign that our liver's, trying to detoxify and it's just having a little bit of trouble.
Having a hard time. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Problems like eczema, acne, weight gain, bloating, cholesterol issues. Cholesterol has gotten a bad rap over the years. A lot of people think that all cholesterol is bad,
No.
but I know most of your brain's made up of cholesterol, right? And then actually cholesterol is really important for healing. So if we have some of these different toxicity issues and disease processes in our body, your body actually uses cholesterol to be able to plug up those holes. So it's really, really important. And a lot of times I say if people have high cholesterol, so are we going to say something?
No, well, it probably goes along with what you're saying, but I did just want to jump in and say, that, and I don't want to sidetrack us because cholesterol is a whole different conversation, but it is necessary for your body. So if you are on a statin, I just encourage you to have another conversation with maybe a different health professional that can really talk to you about the importance of cholesterol in your body, because there is HDL, LDL, and then there's VLDL, and that's the one nobody's talking about, and that's the one that is most dangerous. So, brain health, all of the stuff. Melissa, I'm glad you brought up cholesterol, and I'm going to end that there, but just to put plant a seed in some folks' ears. Yep. Don't let a statin be the end of your cholesterol conversation, because as we're saying, it's important for detoxification.
Yes, totally. And just to piggyback on that, a lot of times when I have patients come in and they're, been told that they have high cholesterol, I ask the question, well, did the doctors or anybody ever help you determine why your body's having high cholesterol? Yeah. And everybody answers every time, no. But here's the thing, high level athletes, bodybuilders, Olympians, they're probably going to have high cholesterol because their body's breaking down muscle all the time. So just because our cholesterol numbers are high, like you talked about, it's really those VDL numbers that are important. It's like, do we have the really sticky cholesterol? And let's start asking them the questions. Okay, why is my cholesterol elevated? Yes. And then let's start seeing if we can trace the tracks back to see where we can support it, right? So that your body can do what it was designed to do.
Yes, don't just treat the symptoms. You got to find what the problem is. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. High five. Good. Here we go. Perfect. Before we move into the kidneys, I wanted to talk about a few of those really good colon cleansing supplements and herbs that are out there, different foods that you can eat. Flaxseed. These guys are like nutrient packed powerhouses. Chia seeds, really, really good too. Really good omega-3 fats, which are super healthy for us. Alfalfa is good. So if you guys like doing those sprouts, putting sprouts on your salads, I'm seeing a little face here. I actually enjoy those, doing some bean sprouts. Yeah, all those sprouted foods are really, really good. Aloe is really healing for the gut. I remember growing up with an aloe plant at home. We'd use it for different cuts and, things on our skin, but it's really good internally too. Let's see, a couple other ones. Fennel. Okay, any Fennel fans out there? I don't particularly like Fennel because I think it tastes like black licorice, and I'm not a fan of black licorice.
It all depends on the recipe if I cook with it, but I usually don't supplement with it.
Yeah. I do use the essential oil on my belly sometimes. I'll tell you, even just last night, we had a salad and it had fennel in it. And I tell my kids all the time, they're like, Mom, you don't like black licorice. I can't believe you're eating that. I said, I'm eating it because I know it's good for me. That's the attitude that we have to have sometimes. Yep. And then especially fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, there can be some good yogurts out there. That's a whole other conversation. Not all of them. Don't rely on yogurt as your only fermented food. Yep. But those would be some good ones that you guys can, start incorporating into your diet as well. All right, here we go. How are we doing? We're doing good on time here. We're going to keep rolling.
We're going to keep rolling. Okay. Let's go.
So the third line of defense is going to be our kidneys. So when our intestinal tract and our liver kind of miss the mark and slow down on their job, really the kidneys get to pick up the excess load and help continue to remove out the trash and take it to the garbage disposal. So when our urinary passages are overloaded with irritants, they can also become inflamed, okay, which can lead to burning and urination, irritable bladder, frequent kidney and bladder infections. So know that when we start having some of those symptoms, we got to take a look at the liver. See, our body gives us clues all the time on where it needs support. We just need to learn how to understand its language, okay? But with this, skin issues, really swollen lymph nodes, retaining fluids, a lot of people have water retention issues, and even sometimes reproductive problems can be caused by a slowed liver, or sorry, slowed kidneys. Here's the thing too, a lot of ladies that are listening, if your monthly cycles are really giving you a lot of grief, it could be because we have overworked kidneys or overworked burden in the liver, which can cause, which is contributing to leaky gut issues. So if you have any of those symptoms going on, we need a detoxification. Okay. There are many people with very acidic or environments inside the body, which is causing our pH to become unbalanced too. And here's what I'm going to tell you. When we, how do I explain this? So acid or the acidity in your body is always going to flow to the weakest part of your body, some cells, some tissue. So usually when that happens, that's where we're feeling pain in our weakest area. So if you're getting pain in your shoulder or your knees, or you're feeling it in your gallbladder, I mean, your body is going to flow that acid to the area of weakness first. Okay. So that would be a good symptom or a good clue of to what area of the body we need to start supporting. Let's see here. Lost my train.
That's all right. While you're finding your spot again, I would just want to throw in too. So not that long ago, if you've been paying attention and were able to listen to my interview with Elena Carruthers about cancer, she also talked about the pH balance in your body and how that can impact that disease as well. So it is very important to not support an alkaline. You don't want to be too acidic. Now, yes, inside your gut, because you need those acids to break down your food, so then that nutrients can be absorbed. But as an overall person, you do not want to have an acidic environment.
Yeah, and good point, because we know that if we can starve the acidity out of the body, disease process is really hard to grow, really impossible to grow. And there's different minerals, potassium, magnesium, those type of things are going to be real essential. When we have an acidic environment, usually the first thing that gets robbed is going to be magnesium. And a lot of people are struggling with, and your body takes it from our bones and our tissues. So anybody that's
from somewhere else.
Yeah. Yes. So anybody that's struggling with osteopenia, osteoporosis, some of those types, it's usually because it's a mineral deficiency and we've been just toxic and too acidic for way too long, right? Okay, so here we go. The largest elimination organ in our body. I'm going to quiz you on this one, Desiree. Do you know the largest organ in the body that helps with detox?
Skin.
Yes!
Yay!
Exactly. A+ for you, girl. Okay. So this skin, this really, guys, it's our last ditch effort in the detoxification process. And it offers assistance in a few ways. So there's different ways that the body or that the skin helps us detox. One is through sweating. And I know that us ladies don't like to sweat, but you can call it glowing, glistening, whatever it is. But sweat
whatever it is that helps you through that process, you call it.
Yes, but when we sweat, if there are too many water-soluble bad guys that are in the blood, the body can wash them out through the skin when we sweat. Many times this happens when we produce a fever. So a fever is not always a bad thing. As obviously we want to make sure it's not getting too high for too long period of time. But a fever is one way for us to increase our natural body temperature. And then Desiree, do you know another way that our body increases its temperature? One of the other favorite things that you love to do.
Exercise?
Yes, exercise.
Eat spicy food, thermogenic properties.
Yeah, that too. Yes. But really, exercise is a great way for us to increase that core body temperature and starts cooking. I tell my kids, it's cooking out all the bugs. Whenever they have a fever, I was like, all right, guys, this is a good thing. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do. It's cooking out all the bad guys. And that's just kind of how we think of it at our house. But that fever is going to produce the sweat. It's going to help open sweat glands, right? So even soaking in an Epsom salt bath, baths really help increase the detoxification too, as it opens the pores. You know, we're using the Epsom salts to drive in minerals and help support the body that way and really get that elimination through the skin. And then infrared saunas, if you have access to a sauna, those are really good too. I would highly encourage that if you have the ability to utilize those. And then I think there's a lot of you know, storefronts and stuff, a lot of places that are realizing the importance of those, so you can kind of schedule an appointment someplace if you don't have one at home. All right, so the skin, the oil in our skin actually helps keep our skin soft. So it is good to have some oil on our skin, and it's produced through the oil ducts, and it can be used as another elimination method for our toxins. Okay. And they're usually fat soluble too. So if we don't have enough oil on the skin, if you have excessive dry skin there too, that's another sign that we've got a pathway that's plugged or we're missing nutrients.
So let's stop. I just want to jump in real quick because we talked about a couple different terms, and I want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. So you used fat soluble a couple of times, and then on the flip side of that is water soluble. So when it comes to our internal function, what's the difference between fat soluble, water soluble, and then we'll move on.
Yep. Okay, good. So when we think, let's bring it back to vitamins. Some people know that there are fat soluble and water soluble vitamins, right? Yep. So the water soluble vitamins are the ones that the body's not really going to store. You're going to flush it out through your urine. You're going to, you know, flush it out through some of those different pathways that we talked about, where your body's not going to take it and hold on to it. Same. So those similar vitamins would be like B vitamins and vitamin C, those type of things. Fat soluble, same thing with toxins. We talked about earlier, when there's too many of those fat solubles in there, your body's going to pull them out, put them in the fat cells and store them there. That's going to be things like heavy metals. I'm drawing a blank on some of those other ones, but maybe we can post some other ideas of what some of those fat soluble toxins are. So when we sweat, it helps open up those pores from a cellular level and helps get out those fat soluble toxins that we're storing too. Does that help a little bit?
It sure does. So opening up those fat cells, guys, and basically, I guess, burning them, the term that most people are familiar with, it has benefits far beyond your waistline and, you know, shrinking those inches down. So, you know, our body does a good job of storing things that we need in fats, but also things that we don't need. So it's not floating around our body. So when we burn that fat cell, we allow it to open up, then that's when we can detoxify, those fat cells shrink, we lose inches, all of that great stuff. So also just another reason to want to burn that fat. Guys.
Yep, exactly. Well, and here's the thing, like normally the liver processes these, like these fat soluble ones, and it turns them into water soluble ones so that we can flush them out. So that's why the liver is so important, guys, too, that we got to keep that healthy. So if your liver's congested, the body's going to call upon the skin to do the duty of that. So that's when we start having some of the acne, the blackheads, the pimples, the boils. They usually appear when the toxins have been forced past the liver and the kidneys, and the only way out is through the skin. I know for me, when I detoxify, that tends to be the way my body chooses to do it. So sometimes rashes, hives, those type of things, any of that fatty layer underneath the skin gets affected, makes you itch, rashes, those type of things. So if we have some of that going on, this is a sign that, again, that we're going to need a good detoxification. Okay.
All right.
Real quick, here are our foods that we get to focus on. Some for the liver. Olive oil, really, really good, really good. Olive oil, super good, but don't heat olive oil too hot. When we heat it too hot, it turns into one of those bad trans fats that everybody's hearing about. So olive oil is going to be best done over steamed vegetables, the salad dressing. So don't heat it, but you can, just kind of drizzle it on things. Lemon juice. I love this one because it's so cheap and it's inexpensive and it's simple to add in. I always tell people half your body weight in ounces is what we should get in for water. Squeeze a little bit of lemon on top of that. It's one, going to help your body become more alkaline, which seems weird because it's a acidic type fruit, but then when it hits your stomach acid, it becomes more alkaline. And two, it really scrubs out the cells. Like that lemon really scrubs out the outside of the cells so nutrients can get in and toxins can get out the way that they're supposed to. Our leafy greens again. Lots of leafy greens or greens powder I would recommend. Green tea is great. Spinach, turmeric, beets, carrots, avocados, just to name a few for those.
I'm good with avocado, not so much on the beets. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I know that can be kind of earthy. Yes. Yeah. So that's the 5 different detoxification pathways, guys. And it really is important when we are doing a detox to go through and focus on, find a system or a product that's going to focus on all of those. Mm-hmm. And when we see some of the detox programs, a lot of times they're ones that are going to make you just pooping off a lot, right? And they might not be necessarily cleaning you out the way that you need to. And sometimes if there's not a binder with it, it's going to just get reabsorbed in that colon again, all those toxins you just tried to pull out. Okay. So there's a couple that we recommend. And Des, I know you've utilized some of these at our office too, but one of them called the Detox system. And it's a 2-part system. It's a cell detox that's going to help scrub out the cells from a cellular level. And then there's a body detox that's got binders like activated charcoal and psyllium husk to really help bind things and actually get things removed. It's a real gentle, easy way for somebody who has never done something before to get started. But anytime you do a detox, I don't say do it on your own. You want to do it with a professional that knows what they're doing so they can help you navigate through this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we start a detox, we can get way worse before we get better if we're not doing it the right way.
Because your body is finally releasing all of that junk that it's been holding on to. And so some of it, you're just going to flush it and you're not going to notice that your body has removed it through that method. But, it can come through your skin, like Melissa said. So rashes, acne, you might have, a different reaction called herxing, which is kind of extreme. And, it's just your body really like having a strong reaction to the detox because there's just so much in there that it once it released, it just you weren't ready for that type of reaction. So
it's really hard to know. Like sometimes when I meet with people when we prepare for a detox, I've got to say, you got to keep me posted on how things are going, what's changing in the body. I mean, your stools are going to change all sorts of colors and probably shapes, sizes, and everything. Stuff might happen with your skin. You might get headaches, but we need to know when these things are going on.
Common. Just don't get discouraged by it. Know that it can happen, but you can work your way through it. And then once those symptoms subside, that you're getting closer to the root of the problem by moving all of that stuff out.
And that's why it's important to work with somebody. So then I can say, you know what, hey, maybe let's modify, slow down on some things, or moments when I have to say, suck it up, sister, because your body's got to push through this to get to the other side. But it's hard to know.
It is hard to know.
Quitting a detox in the middle of it, right before they get a really great breakthrough, because it's hard. They don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just, telling you ahead of time. So when you do start a detox, and I recommend it for anybody to start one, or even really gentle detoxes for children, because our kids, they have the same diets as most adults. So if they're following in the adults path and the adults need to detox, then your child more than likely does too, because they're eating the same way that you do. And their bodies aren't any different. They're just smaller.
Yeah.
So, that's another area there as well. So one thing we haven't talked about, Melissa, as we get ready to wrap up here is, how often should someone detox? I know that's a question that comes around a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's really subjective depending on what the person has going on. If you don't really have any disease processes that we're trying to heal from right now, personally, I think it's good at least twice a year. If you can do it once a quarter, great. But at least twice a year doing some type of a good cleanse detox, just to make sure all the systems were working well. For somebody that does have some disease processes that we're really looking to heal with, if they've been diagnosed with a certain something, you might be looking at a few months of what I want to say, like consistent back-to-back detoxes, different cleanses to kind of focus on different areas. But again, I would say connect with somebody that knows, you know, what they're doing, somebody in functional health, you know, to help guide that process too. But for the general person, I would say at least twice a year.
All right, very good. Well, thanks so much, Melissa, for sharing with me today. I mean, I learned stuff today too as well. So I'm hoping that our listeners did also. It is not my purpose to push any one company or any one product, but if you would like to reach out to Melissa and just learn more about the cellular detox that she talked about, because this needs to be actionable, right? So why give you all this information if you can't take action on it? Sure, you can start eating more of those foods that support detoxification, but if you're looking for something a little more structured, then the cellular detox, the whole body detox, the system detox that she discussed, it's a good one, and I've used it, and it is a gentle way to get started into this program. So you can reach her at melissa@eptruechiropractic.com. Shoot her an email and at least have that conversation, because I know the detox, it can be ordered and shipped to you online. So she can hook you up with all of that information. And if you're in an area where you want to meet with someone one-on-one, but you're not in her vicinity, she's got a great network of other health professionals that she can help point you in a direction that she has confidence in, because trust me, when it comes to vetting products and resources, Melissa is meticulous. So I definitely trust her and her recommendations. So Melissa at EP True Chiropractic, so EPTRUE chiropractic.com, just to continue that conversation, because detoxification, very important, not talked about a lot, but impacts so much of the body. Melissa, any last thoughts before we wrap up here today?
Yes, thank you. I do want to just say, if you do nothing else today, I want you to start focusing on drinking more water.
Yes.
I want you to focus on drinking half of your body weight in ounces of good filtered water. Now, the filtered part is key. Good filtered water. If you want to take it up a notch, add some lemon to it. Get the little pink Himalayan rock salts. Add a couple salts to that to start remineralizing that again. That will do wonders. And then if you take a look at your environment at home, the best and easiest thing that you can do is get some plants. There are some plants that help to clean out our air environment at home. Peace plants are really good. Spider plants are really good. You can look, those are, and they're easy to grow. They're pretty indestructible, but that will really start cleaning out that environment at home, guys. Those two things, if you only do those two things, I would say number one, first drink water. Number two, get some good house plants.
Fantastic. Right? And does it get any easier than that, folks? Does it really get any easier than that? So thanks so much, Melissa. Guys, do one of those things. I really challenge you to take action. And remember, your body is a temple. So let's build it.